Hello. There are a lot of you, aren't there? We had all those weather warnings, and this is still the biggest crowd we've had all week. I hope you will be the loudest crowd we have also had all week. I hope you've had a good industry week. I hope you've been attending as much as you can. I hope you've been hammering the hashtag IW23 on social media. Your whole week is built to this. It is my immense pleasure to introduce my former flatmate. Pause for applause. We're going to have to practice this. Speaking of the weather, he crossed the peaks to get here. This mighty mariner, the man of the hour, the man with the power, saving the best till last. This is Games' keynote speaker. I'm only going to give you one more chance at that, so next time it looks like I'm going to stop, you need to just preempt me, just start, yeah? Here representing CIG, Cloud Imperium Games, the animation pillar producer level 2, give it up for the stone cold Steve William Austin III. There we go. They got that one.
Ask about the bag. Thank you, Kyle. Never change. Hello, everyone. I'm immensely proud to be here. I've been coming here the past 4 or 5 years now. I seem to get a promotion every year, so it's quite nice. I see some familiar faces from last time as well. So, yeah, there is a case there. All questions about the case will be answered when it comes to the question and answer round on that front. So, yeah, as you can see, Steve Austin, I'll go by Stephen. I want to basically talk about my career briefly. A lot of people, when me and Kyle were at university, they came in to do an industry talk, talked about how great they was, and then cleared off out the door and collected a fee. I want to basically give you as much information as I can from my perspective of how you can get in the industry and equip yourselves from the shoes you're in now. I'm going to keep trying to walk around the room because I don't want to just look like I'm talking to this side of the room, so over there. And I'm terrible at holding mics because I don't know where to put my hands. So without further ado, yeah, this is going to be bridging the gap for the games industry. So from where you're at to where you want to be. And now I'm going to check the clicker. Right, sweet. Current slide. Here we go. So as you can see, that's my name. That's a bit of space. Let's just get into it. So it was down, wasn't it? There we go. So this is kind of like my brief career path. So Grimsby Institute, 2005, 2007. I had the misfortune of meeting Kyle there on that side of things. He once got tackled into a printer. Enough of that story before. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Bolton University, that was our battlefield as well. I was lucky enough. I mean, there's a gap there. I went home. I wasn't a great student because I didn't have this talk. I'll big it up already. Managed to get to a job in Sony Liverpool, CEX. Anyone ever worked in CEX? I can see the death in your eyes already. People expect, have you played this? Have you seen this? Hell on earth on that side of things, and not in the Doom kind. You don't Doom guy it. So a lot of people will talk to you, and they're disappointed when you haven't seen it. Traveller's Tales, TT Fusion, Traveller's Tales again, TT Fusion. Anyone identify a pattern? Ubisoft Reflections, Gateshead College. I've actually taught this course as well as sitting it. So hopefully I can fine-tune your lecturers as well. Ubisoft Reflections again, they pulled me back in. Mid-Cheshire College, TT Fusion, Traveller's Tales, starting again basically. And Cloud Imperium Games, where I've been there for 6.5 years for my time. Almost like a life sentence, but I love it. So these are the titles I've worked on. So I was a format QA. They literally gave me a disc. They just gave me a disc, submission candidate, pen and paper. Wasn't even allowed to be trusted with PCs. And then we were literally writing bugs down on paper. We gave them to our leads, the higher power almost, to gain their favor. Temporary contracts, as you can see. Between there, obviously, you run temporary contracts. I ended up having to work at CEX to make ends meet. You have to hustle sometimes. So yeah, QA tester, TT Fusion, QA tester, Traveller's Tales, night shift. That was quite interesting, and I'll tell you a nice little story about that, about obeying your NDA later on. For those familiar faces, I know you've heard this story before, but there is stuff in the case that I didn't have last year. So this is one little lesson I want to teach you about initiative. So Sony, I got let go. There wasn't an initiative, fair enough. I ended up back in CX. Traveller's Tales, I knew my contract was temporary. And what I did was I went up to my lead and I said, Well, we're ramping down on this project, Lego Batman 2. There's Lego Lord of the Rings is starting in TT Fusion. Yeah, that's ramping up. Can I just go over there and work there for a bit as well when this ramps down? And he turned to me and he went, yeah. And everyone who was petrified in the room was like, how did he do it? So the worst thing you can do is, one of the first bit of advice I can tell you right now, the worst thing anyone can say to you when you're asking or applying is no. Not blacklist them, death to them, cat and nine tails. No, you might as well try. I've worked in Newcastle, obviously, so shy burns getting out. That's what they say in Newcastle. You don't ask, you don't get. So you might as well try. Be brave. So, Lego City on the 3DS gave me a taste of being a lead full-time on QA, a bit more responsibility, looking after people, fighting the good fight, organising like test plans and stuff like that. I decided I wanted to work on Watch Dogs. I wanted to work on a new IP. Lego games are great. They are honestly great. But sometimes you want to taste a game from like a bit more start to finish. And when this dropped, I think it was EGX or something like that, it was incredible. Everyone clapped their hands. Some of the galvanizing tech. And I'm a big fan of like the 90s films like Hackers and stuff like that. So this gave me a high level testing of QA. So like dev testing, taking builds from like change lists. Anyone work with Perforce at all? Version control, anyone? There you go, nice one. So it gave me a taste of what it meant to grab a change list, add it to a build before it goes into the mainstream and breaks everything, where a developer, quote unquote, tested their work. Communicate with other QC or QAs. So there are people in different teams. So you'll have AI, arts, the different aspects of the game, or even like small features like mini games, as you saw, or there's like little gambling games, the AR games. And it helped us coordinate within ourselves, our test plans and stuff like that. Validation testing, so I had to learn everyone's cells. You come in at the low end kind of thing, so they're all in comfortable places. You have to earn your keep on that front. Prioritizing build issues, so you get a feel for the entire game almost, which is kind of a bit of a blessing, but you have to be a jack of all trades, master of one kind of thing. So yeah, checking specific content and fixes for developers, change lists, version control I mentioned a few seconds ago. They let me get the hands on the tools, which is great. You actually got your hands on the tools. I mean, fair enough, Unreal's great, Valhammer's great, Unity's great, but when you get hold of in-house tools, it's like the Ark of the Covenant. It's like, it's contraband, it's stuff you're not, no one gets their hands on. So it was nice to see it working, looking under the hood. Jira dashboards, you'll hear Jira after the cows come home in your future, and I already apologise for it. That's just the database for tracking bugs, tasks, scheduling, things like that. It's the bread and butter of the games industry. Most of them use Jira. Scrums and stand-ups, not like comedy, Kyle, but scrums, anyone scrum or stand-ups know what that is? Basically, it's project management. So a scrum is a quick huddle with your team. What are we doing today? What are the pressing issues? What's grieving you? What can you maybe finishing today for other people? So I went and taught. For my sins, they brought me back in because this dropped, announced wise, and I want to get my hands on this. And obviously, when it first came out, or when it was first announced, everyone went mad for it. Let's go have a quick drink now. So yeah, this was awesome, absolutely awesome. The best thing was probably doing the Eurogamer booth. So we had like 27 consoles all playing each other in a deathmatch map, early starts, late finishes, industry parties, meeting really cool people. And as you can see, lucky I didn't die over there, to be honest, on that front. But it made me more culpable for a feature this time, so the skills and the weapons, and if you can praise the skills and the weapons of the divisions, the thing I'm most proud of, you might get a loot. Kidding, on that front. So sending out the must-fix issues. So bug classification for QA. Blocker, critical, moderate, trivial. Write that down. Play a bad game. Apply that to, find all the issues, and then apply those 4 core pillars to it. So we'll go blocker, critical, moderate, trivial. Play Sonic 2006. something like that, and then do. Come on that side of things. Just play. You can't just play all good games. You need to know what not to do, how to identify these things. Because when you want to develop games, you need to identify and prioritize. The developer wants to hear it. Don't be bad. Oh, sorry, I broke your stuff. Some programmers will, but they'd rather you tell them than the press do it. Like poor Cyberpunk. It's a great game now, and I genuinely enjoy it, but it got out too quick, and I felt really bad because it's actually a game quite close to my heart. Working with Perforce, so I was working with more exclusive commits, lead programmers, stuff like that. Don't break the build. Jira dashboard and creation and monitoring. So again, making sure there's transparency for the project of this is everything that's reported for the company. This is who it's on. These are the people who have issues assigned to them. This is the priority of so this person's got 4 blockers on them. It's been like that for 2 weeks. What the hell's going on? Just transparency so the people, the powers that be can also look at it. And the lock process. So a lot of companies have a lock process. Developers don't always test their stuff diligently. And it's not on them. They know how to play their things perfectly. Anyone ever made something and then a complete stranger's come in and played it completely the wrong way? Or yeah. Sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees. You need QA. You need people to test this stuff. They need to be, it's your first line of defense rather than your last line of defense. When a game is great, who do they usually praise? Well, obviously Kojima. But outside of that, they praise the developers, the designers, the visionaries behind it. If a game's bad, what the hell were QA doing in this? If it was broken, what the hell were QA like? We've reported the bugs. Just yeah, we can probably ship without this. That's probably what happens. So you can still do a great job, and then it obviously get wavered by people, the powers that be. But you can only do your job, and that's why lock process is always important. So lock the build. They can't commit until QA has said, I've tested this. Yes, you have my permission to put it in build. Power. Brilliant. How long am I going? So, yeah, Cloud Imperium Games. That's where I'm at now. So I came in QA as well. So this gave us more open because it was still relatively fresh as a company. And you've got to pick a specialism to start with. I picked AI because one thing that really bothered me about next-gen games is that AI is still terrible. It's dumb. You can outsmart it very easily. It doesn't adapt to you or react to you as a player. I like to be screwed over by an AI, not a level that's... We need to increase the difficulty. I know we'll spam twice as many NPCs shooting from unclear angles, rather than more thought process, game theory behind it. Game theory is really important. What makes the player tick? How they learn things? What can they utilize later in the game? So it was great to pick that specialism, liaising with more developers across the board. Now you're picking a specialism AI. You're going in from the ground up. How does it work on a server, a client basis? How does it work on a single-player basis? Different types of players, different types of play styles. That's how you communicate more openly. Even the level design itself, the geometry is important for stuff like this. AI, we need a bit more cover. It's too easy. They just stood in this corner and camping, and playing basically the whole Gears of War kind of tactic. So, as well, different specific requests. This comes in again. Perforce. Can you test my stuff? I think it's perfect. You come back and say, I've got some bad news for you, Barry. I've got some bad news for you. And look at the screen and see a coal stack and he wants to kill you on that front. But they're thankful for it. Relaying information to testing parameters. This is how you test our stuff. This is how much debug you need to have on screen. Use these right command lines, CVARs, or if you will. That gives the right information for a developer. There's no point in going towards them and saying, this is broken. Oh, cool. What did you do? I just skip and jumped in and did this. Right. What happened? Cool. Is there a video of it? Because you might not describe it fully. You could write a massive war and peace, how you did it. Show them a video. You have all the, the parameters on top. Oh, why have the performance gone bad? Look at that performance spike there when I interacted with this thing. It's basically it's vital information for the developer. Them seeing it and going, I know exactly what the issue is here, rather than reading and going, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. Some programmers that have a higher level of thinking, and some designers that they wouldn't want to waste their time on stuff. Just look at it and go, right, it's broken. It's like describing a blockage to a plumber rather than getting them around your house. toilet's clogged. Just little things like that. Specialism, it's a great way to grow in the developer role. People go into a level design team, AI, even like vehicle art, stuff like that. And then they'll eventually grow into a developer role if they choose to. Beautiful thing about CIG is QA isn't a stepping stone. They're heavily revered in our company. I came from QA. A lot of people came from QA. We now understand people should be like lifers for QA. People want to become leads, seniors, specialists. Brilliant. Grow it. Because what happens is you lose your best testers. If they all go to development, all your best testers, they're gone, and they're gone, and they're gone, and you lose that knowledge. So QA, very important. Say, duties from previous roles as well. So I'm basically it's building a repertoire. That's where it came from. Smoke tests, performance tests. So testing the performance, any degradation, making sure there's no lagging, the game's seamless. Are we still running the right frame rate? Play tests, documentation for management. So tracking, green lighting parts of the game. So to say, walking through a level and you're testing and you go, there's no textures here. No textures there. There's no props either. Yeah, we haven't put them in yet. All right, I've wrote 6,000 bugs to things that I'm missing. Rather than, I just want you to test the golden path. Can you go from A to B? Go from A to B and shoot some enemies. Well, the enemies didn't do so much. I've just put them in. I just want to know it works. So I'm going to basically have a drinks break and show just a quick video, well, two, on a bit of CIG. So this is basically what we've been working with social design for gameplay story, and I've had to timestamp it. Audio testing.
They're put together where they're intended to be. They're seamless.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that's super hard for the actors.
You don't
because they've got to maintain the intonation.
You don't see hitches from the animation. You don't see this. You don't see that. It flows and it feels really natural, which is really cool.
Yeah, well, that's it. People spot it straight away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you do it clunky, it's kind of you'll spot it.
And this is what Chris and the writers, when they were doing the PCAP for these things, you maintain the intonation, and it does feel seamless. It doesn't feel jarring too much.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so what do you have to show us then?
So this is Morrow, everyone's favorite engineer. So he's like the ship's gossip. Every time you stumble across this guy, he's gossiping about something. So in the start conversation, we have two interrupt points, which I spoke about before. That's breaking into a conversation. Then he turns his attention to you, and then we have, during the following conversation, we have 5 breakpoints. And that's pause, resume, abandon points. So you can do either of those. Mm-hmm. And then we also have the performance based to the left and to the right. So you can attack this from any angle if you want.
That's cool.
Just to be fair to the character department, we should say that the character models in this are the basic versions prior to all the sort of lovely polish that they lavish. The environment.
We always hate giving disclaimers, but things are always being pushed on. But I don't think they are the most up to date. I heard this video may have a little bit of length, but it shows the variety that we have, and although it may even be a little bit repetitive sometimes with the line that's there, again, it shows those angles, it shows the timing and so on. So it's I think it's worth people seeing the variety that's there.
Yeah, it's a lengthy video, and it's a bit of Groundhog Day in there, but that's the whole point of it. It shows all the different scenarios we've catered for. This is just for a single scene.
Yeah, the level of complexity that there has to be depending on approaches.
Awesome, let's watch it.
Yeah. There you go, guys. I'll kill the share screen.
Yeah, the entire face completely rebuilt afterwards. Lieutenant! Congrats on the big first mission. Exciting stuff. Lieutenant, you all right? Right, where was I? It must be great to finally feel like a real pilot. And not that you weren't a real pilot before, but now you've actually done something without blowing up. Never mind, I guess. Yeah, the entire face completely rebuilt afterwards. Apparently the lieutenant looked completely different before Vega. Lieutenant! Congrats on the big first mission. Exciting stuff. must be great to finally feel like a real pilot. And not that you weren't a real pilot before, but now you've actually done something without, well, blowing up. Lieutenant, you all right? Right, where was I? Speaking of pilots, did you hear what happened to Ishitaka last year? So, we were posted out in some backwater system. Oh, I forget which one. Maybe next. Anyway, we decided to go out drinking at this dumper of a trade station. A real dump. Never mind, I guess. Yeah, the entire face completely rebuilt afterwards. Apparently the lieutenant looked completely different before Vega. Ah, Lieutenant! Congrats on the big first mission. Exciting stuff. It must be great to finally feel like a real pilot. And not that you weren't a real pilot before, but now you've actually done something without, well, blowing up. Speaking of pilots, did you hear what happened to Ishitaka last year? So, we were posted out in some backwater system. Oh, I forget which one. Maybe next. Anyway, we decided to go out drinking at this dumper of a trade station. A real dump. Lieutenant, you all right? Right. Where was I? Ishitaka is completely ripped. I mean, she's totaled. Decides her face could do with a bit of an upgrade. Wakes up the next morning with a nose like the front of Freelancer. Never mind, I guess. Yeah, the entire face completely rebuilt afterwards. Apparently the lieutenant looked completely different before Vega. Ah, Lieutenant! Congrats on the big first mission. Exciting stuff. It must be great to finally feel like a real pilot. And not that you weren't a real pilot before, but now you've actually done something without, well, blowing up. Speaking of pilots, did you hear what happened to Ishitaka last year? So, we were posted out in some backwater system. Oh, I forget which one. Maybe next. Anyway, we decided to go out drinking at this dumper of a trade station. A real dump. Ishitaka is completely ripped. I mean, she's totaled. Decides her face could do with a bit of an upgrade. Wakes up the next morning with a nose like the front of Freelancer. Lieutenant, you all right? Right. Where was I? Doc said she couldn't fix it. Said she wouldn't fix something that isn't broken. Never mind, I guess. Yeah, the entire face completely rebuilt afterwards. Apparently the lieutenant looked completely different before Vega. Ah, Lieutenant! Congrats on the big first mission. Exciting stuff. It must be great to finally feel like a real pilot. And not that you weren't a real pilot before, but now you've actually done something without, well, blowing up. Speaking of pilots, did you hear what happened to Ishitaka last year? So, we were posted out in some backwater system. Oh, I forget which one. Maybe next. Anyway, we decided to go out drinking at this dumper of a trade station. A real dump. Ishitaka is completely ripped. I mean, she's totaled. Decides her face could do with a bit of an upgrade. Wakes up the next morning with a nose like the front of Freelancer. Doc said she couldn't fix it. Said she wouldn't fix something that isn't broken. Lieutenant, you all right? Right. Where was I? Ishitaka had to walk around with that disaster for a month before she got some more shore leave. Lesson to be learned, Anyway, I'll catch you later.
So, yeah, that's a little taster of how you can anticipate what the player gets up to, how you can grief NPCs, keep things fresh. I mean, the main part of it really was the body, the turn to the player, the gesturing. His eyebrows still a bit weird, and this was, two years ago now. So yeah, this was just how we were like trying to demonstrate it, hand key stuff, making sure the player has a bit of variety rather than just you get the same response, go away, same response, go away. You turn to someone to try and get an interaction point, and they only turn to one area. So just little things like this. So yeah, I'll carry on from current slide. Yeah. So this is kind of what I'm doing now for my sins. So yeah, I'm cinematics animation pillar producer. So I oversee the cinematics team. So that's where, you know, the main feature part of stuff where you see a lot of the visual effects, the movie side of things, the nice cinematography, the real empathy parts of the game now. You know, the big Hollywood shots almost. So the big thing in my duty right now is I'm in director reviews a lot of the time, spending time with Chris, getting real detailed feedback, breaking stuff down. How do we add to a shot list? Do we need more mocap? Do we need to bring back in Mark Hamill? Do we need to bring back in more actors? And do we need stunt coordinators on that side of things? And it's really hard to catch that information because feedback will always come in all forms. Is this grey box, white box feedback? Is this polished feedback? Is it something? I know that, you know, you just want it to be in the backlog and worked on when we're looking to polishing and bringing things up to scratch. Leadership summits as well. So meeting with other producers from other teams, ironing out. So we have a DevOps summit, and this is just us outlining what we need to be looking on, focusing on for the year, what's working, what isn't, and seeing where suggested improvements we can go mutually. I could suggest the right way to do things, but it may only work for me and my teams, not other people's. And you've got to learn to compromise in the games industry. Everyone's working on the same game. Everyone, it's great you fight for your team. Oh, it's great when you fight for your team, but you are making the same product. They won't read a review and go, this game was absolutely fantastic, great visuals, gameplay was crap, 4 out of 10. Doesn't matter. They can look as beautiful as it is, but everything's got to work together, and the stakes are so high now. So high. The bar is raising rapidly in the games industry. Now you look at VR, I can't wait to see where VR is in 3 years. It's terrifying. Honestly, like I do like YouTube 360 videos. I did skydiving, and my legs were going. I was on all fours, and I can't do this. But he was like, "You all right, mate?" And I was like, "Yeah." The adrenaline was hitting me. My brain is like, "You're in your living room." My brain was like, "No, my man. No, I'm not. No, you're not." Schedule and implementation, making sure that you have to have things scheduled for other teams. With things like cinematics, animation, you're providing content for teams. AI teams, they need the right combat behaviors. They need animations for it. We need takedowns. We need someone to take down from behind, dragging bodies and things like that. The real fun stuff, you know, dragging bodies. But it's stuff that they need, so you've got to plan it out, right? It needs to be blocked out. Brilliant. The level's fine. If you work on a cinematic piece in-game and someone puts a giant pillar in the middle of the level and the NPC walks away and hits into it, you're out of sync. They have to go back, maybe have to re-mocap something. The mocap, trust me, it's not cheap. Not cheap by any measure of the imagination. It's getting cheaper. People are finding more efficient ways to do it. But obviously you do compromise on quality. So having an aligned schedule is important. Knowing what you need. Designs, you can prototype all you like. You can do it with a cube. But eventually you're going to need NPCs and, you know, characters or sprites, assets, things like that in game. When you need to work on it is roughly based on when you're ready to have it. That's where we communicate more openly. Liaising with the design team. So again, what do you want? When are you ready for our stuff? When would you be ready roughly? So if you're working on this for 4 weeks, we can't work on it for 4 weeks if we need to look at what their insight is for something and saying, right, now we know how to fulfill this. For example, what we just showed you before, the turn and the abandons and moving out and gestures. Maybe we didn't have enough animations. Maybe it's not fresh or enough variety for the player. A lot of the times, I say, is anyone sick of getting the same response for an NPC after you've been to them like twice? Yeah. Emotioneering in video games, nice, I'll come to you later. I'm kidding. It does, but it depends what game you're playing as well. Because if it's a narrative emotioneering in video games, you want that. I love coming back from home, putting a pause on my life and then being an actual like champion or something. Like, you're the hero of everything, cool. MMOs, you're just in a queue. So it's nice, you know, the level of escapism. Scheduling quarterly goals. So you can't just plan out a game straight away. You need to realize what you can achieve in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. With my role now moving a bit over, overseeing like 5 teams now, soon to be more. Making sure that they're all ready to receive the pass. When the ball is in their court, when they're ready, there's no point in wasting anyone's time where you have to redo things and redo things and redo things. So what can we do in this quarter? Well, we need these AI behaviors, but we need to prototype probably for about 3 months before we do a full mocap shoot. We can hand key some things, but there's no point in doing a full mocap shoot until we know exactly what we need in terms of behaviors. How the characters act, how they work to the player, how they interact with the environment, things like that. How they respond to being griefed by the player, QA. So yeah, that's the only way you can do this. Some things take a lot longer than others. And obviously you need a reactive schedule. Oh, this was finished a bit sooner and Chris wants it, prototyping, great. If this comes back, it's going to put us over schedule here in terms of we won't have the capacity to work on everything. Cool, well, we'll take this and we'll move it back. Tracking issues and teams. So again, quarterly goals, everyone's work is interlinked. We can't start this task because the task we're linked to isn't finished yet. And to have that time, date, estimates, chasing estimates is hard. How long is it going to take to do something? You're never always going to know. Some tasks will go over, some tasks will go under. It's the way of the world. But if someone asked you, how long does it take to get to the train station from here? Anyone? About 20 minutes. So yeah, that's your estimation based on your own walking pace. Someone could be an absolute strider and do it in 10. But who knows? But it's just based on your own capacity, your own velocity, what you're capable of in that time. Say it's snow, it's a blizzard. Well, I'm actually say 30. It's thick ice outside. Just little things like that where you look at the environment, where it's like, oh, we're having performance issues with the game. It's going to stop me a bit more from working. Or we have a power outage, things like that. Holding firm on mandatory criteria for mocap shoot requests. What do you need? Some bad guys. How bad? How many? What do they do? It gets to the mocap shoot. Where was our mocap content? Well, you didn't give us what you needed. We can't just book actors and stunt people and say, right, ready to receive the pass. So again, it's a real waste of money. You get a lot of content, you don't know what to do with it, and then you have to look at it and say, right, we need to shoot it again. Unless, of course, you want to do it fast and loose when you're starting out and getting your first iteration. So having a process, like a form, mandatory criteria, like when you have your design documentation, be as specific as you possibly can. What do you want? What do you want to make? What are the ins and outs? If you were to give it to someone who's just, you've defrosted them from 1993 and taught them about video games, tell them everything. It's an idiot guide. Sometimes you need it to remind yourself the detailing, the mechanics of your game, how it works. Documentation is everything. Same with like criteria. This is exactly how I want you to test this. I want you only test these NPCs and how they shoot out of cover. What happens when they're prone? Don't care about prone. Don't give me bugs while they're in prone. It's not ready yet. While they're in cover, crouched, I want you to tell me exactly what's wrong with it. This is how I want you to test it. The more specific you are in this business, the better. Mentoring and training new staff. I've never always felt myself like a capable manager or anything like that, or a manager of people, so it's been a big challenge. The way I see it, the more you equip them and the more time you give them, rather than giving them a piece of paper or documentation, you can't teach them with a book. I think a lot of us are all doers, kinesthetic learners. That's the games industry people. You like to see it, YouTube. It's better than seeing a step-by-step PDF. You see it on YouTube or a video, how to do it. Show how it's done. That's the best way to do it, I've always found anyways. Shadow them and then eventually, they shadow you, sorry, and then eventually they go out and be their own boss kind of thing, and they take ownership. And a lot of trust. You have to trust people. It's very important. Some people will be able to do it on their own, like Johnny Blows, the Braid guy, absolute genius, and The Witness. Not everyone is like that, and if you are, more power to you. Make some dope-ass games, and I'll play it. Else, you may have to work with other people. Again, compromise, quite important. Staff allocation. We need more staff. Why? Because we've got 7 weeks' worth of estimates, and we're only chewing out half a week worth of time. Why? Because we have staff that are working on multiple things, and we need more work on this feature, more time on it. Creating new processes, databases, pipelines, sign-off criteria, so gameplay loops. Looking at implementation, cool. Feedback, cool. Is it going to go in perfectly? No. Then maybe move your deadline a bit closer towards yourself so you can iterate on something. So, stage of career development. I think this is the bit I wanted to get to. Brilliant, 40 minutes. So, role research. Does anyone here in this room know what they want to do in the games industry yet? Anyone? Roughly? Yeah, cool. Me either. I came in as a designer. I'm a producer now, and I'm the enemy on that side of things. So, role research. Shop around. Go to games. Your favorite games companies. Go to them. Look on their websites. Look at the jobs. What's the criteria? Must be proficient in this. Communication skills, documentation. Cool. That. It's your wish list. Practical research. Let me just learn this programming language. Use this tool. There's no harm in checking right now. You're getting ahead of the game. No one told us this, Kyle. No one told us this. Ridiculous. Just shopping around. If you want to buy something, you might as well check how much it cost first, then start saving money, instead of walking on the day with a tenner and realize it was $4,000. Practice the skills. Use that tool. Learn that language. Put it into motion. If you want to do social media, cool. Get out there on Twitter. Be professional. Social media's there. Do streaming. Follow other people. Role research. Esports. Follow the best. How are they doing it? Even like when it comes to football. Why is this person so fast? Oh, it's because they train 6 times a week and they rest this amount of time and they eat this type of food. Brilliant. Cool. Practice. I'll start doing that. All right, I may not have a dietitian or whatever, but I can still practice those skills. Oh, this person uses X amount of keyboard. Why don't they get RSI for playing for so long? All right. Ergonomics, aesthetics, just little things. Portfolio. You practice your skills. Put them in a portfolio. This is the work you're doing right now. Document it. Display it. Be proud of it. Final layers and details. Polishing it. Getting it to that little extra stage. So, just talk through this. Compile, display projects, mimic criteria project form, apply for multiple roles. Now, there's this line here, and you'll notice the red line and the blue line. So, this is basically quality of your product. So, you may get to the end, but if your portfolio is substandard, you don't really know what it takes to get that role, it's got to come down here. If you're well prepared, you have a better quality portfolio, the quality is going to go further up. So you will get here for a higher quality. That makes sense. Portfolio tips. So you've done all this practical stuff. You've done your role research. You've got the skills. You've got the tools. Brilliant. Nice one. It's time to get out there and be somebody. Make it accessible. Domains are really cheap these days. They're cheaper than we were ever in uni. We just use Lee Sparks's on that front. So, yeah, make it easy on the eye. Sometimes a busy portfolio, it's all messy. Remember, developers, they're looking at hundreds of these. People make it stand out, and I won't mention his name, but he put paw prints on his CV. And people are like, what on earth is this going on? It's just like, all you needed was like formatting. They just look for formatting. Make it, make it accessible, easily digestible. Less is more sometimes. Same with your portfolio. Be simple. Have it sensibly organized. Homepage, cool. About me, show reels or your portfolio. Dev blog, contact me. Have your best and most recent work on top. So homepage, here's my show reel for the work I've done over the past year. Brilliant. Blog a little about your stuff. So I could show a video of The Last of Us and say, I worked on this. I'm calling BS on this. No, I worked on it. Show me. If you show a little bit of how your development process is, you blocking out your levels, writing about what your thesis is behind it, even just your research beforehand. Oh, I played this, and this because I wanted to make this type of game. It's just all usability testing, role research. Again, it's scoping out not just the competition, but where there could be a gap in the market where there's no game out there that you want to play. So you're going to make it yourself. Have a sensible color scheme and font. Anyone knows what that font is? Yes, the generation isn't lost. Comic Sans, death to Comic Sans. Don't use Comic Sans unless you're trying to be funny. Yeah. Yeah. Make sure all of your links work, like I did. I was bricking it for a second because one didn't work earlier, but it actually was just me. Proofread your content everywhere. Now, I'm just going to double check no spelling mistakes in there because I would be an absolute hypocrite. Good. Anyone else? No? Sweet. Right. Social media etiquette and NDAs. Probably one of my favorite parts of this. Someone has been here already and they've already heard this story, so I apologize, but it's very important. I'm going to say it twice. Read your NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Question yourself before posting stuff. Should I be doing this? Should I be saying this? If you have to ask yourself that question, don't. Wind your mates up instead. What are you working on? Can't tell you. I wind Carl up all the time. What are you working on? Can't tell you. Oh, there's this mint thing that we did last week. Cool, what was it? Oh, we had this actor in the other week who did an awesome, awesome performance. Who was it? Can't tell you. So be careful what you talk about. If you really have to be critical online about a game or a games company, they could be our next employer. Because be constructive. So this company is 4 words. I'm sure you know 4-letter swear words. But yeah, might be someone you apply in future. They will find out. They will look. Oh, say there's an absolute tie-break situation between you and this other ideal candidate. They may go snooping around. I see a lot of people sweating now for being critical online. You can always scrub your social media. But it's just little things like this. Privacy settings. People are nosy. People are very nosy, especially these days. And I just wanted to show you the image. This here cost someone their job and an absolute ruckus for a games company. So I was working on the night shift. I was saying Lego Batman 2. And because you're working the night shift as a lead, you're not going to be escorting people around the dev floor, especially when they're going to the toilet or the kitchen. So in the midst of this shift, this person went to a programmer's desk and took a picture of this controller. No biggie. It's only a controller, right? Wrong. This was a new design controller that Nintendo were going to announce at E3. The new shape, the new design. He didn't know that. I'd worked, I think it was 11 days straight. I was one of the last people on the planet to watch Avengers Assemble when the first start of it. I was in a queue, my ex-girlfriend, well, girlfriend at the time. I was in the queue, and I'm really excited, really pumped for this. I get a phone call. Programmer's going mad because they all signed separate NDAs to have this kit on their desk on top of their NDAs. It's the NDA-ception. And, yeah, going mad down the phone, panicking. Who's so-and-so and so-and-so? Basically, they referred to their Twitter name. I was like, oh, yeah, that's so-and-so's Twitter handle. It's their name. I said, we've got him. We've got him? What do you mean we've got him? I said, Avengers Assemble. And partner at the time looked at me. I just went, great. Explained the situation, what had happened. I went to Twitter, and I was like, Kotaku. And I was just like, watched the entire film. I had to watch it again because I was just sat there panicking. The next day, I thought my neck was on the line. I was the lead on that shift. But luckily, because we could find out who it was, or found out the person, they haven't worked in the games industry ever since. The hammer came down. It is a very, very small world. It's an even smaller industry. Literally, someone at CIG went to Confetti 3 years ago, and I forgot their name. So you have to proof check. But yeah, literally, I was leaving the building. And he's like, oh, I actually went to Confetti in the elevator. I was like, no way. It's a small industry. It's better just to wind people up and say, I'm working on this awesome stuff. I've seen this awesome stuff. I've experienced this awesome stuff. Don't say it. It's not worth it. It's really not worth your livelihood, your dreams. Everyone has dreams, you know, like work hard for this stuff. Preserve it. Shut up sometimes. Sometimes less is more. I understand I'm talking loads right now, but say the right things. Interviews. So, you've obeyed your NDAs for other jobs. I should probably put the NDA one afterwards, but I think it's a massive talking point. So say you've done all your portfolio stuff. You've applied for the right jobs. You've got the right source. You've got their attention. Brilliant. You're in the interview now. It's game time. Relax. Tell someone to relax. What do? The opposite, usually. Someone tells me to relax, my heart goes, hello, anxiety. Yeah, think of ways to relax. Breathing, music, walk around, exercise, whatever. Sometimes pacing helps me out. I'm wound up. I'll go for a walk. I'll come back. I feel great. Unless it's cold or whatever, or hit traffic. But everyone's different. You know what works for yourself. Rehearse your CV. They're going to have it right in front of them. So, Steve, you heard you slayed some Nazis and opened the Ark of the Covenant. Well, they opened the Ark of the Covenant. Prove it. Well, no, wait, that was an Indiana Jones film. Crap. So just little things like that. Rehearse your CV. They're going to ask you about your skills. They're going to ask you about what your personal interests, your portfolio pieces, what makes you tick, what games you enjoy playing, what made you come through not just our door to apply for our company, but to be in the games industry. Sell yourselves. Big yourselves up. I'm going to be the best investment you've ever made in this company because I can do this, I can do this, I want to do this. I love the things you made here, here, and here. There's no harm in being there. You shouldn't be on edge. They want you. They should want you. Research the role. So remember that little wish list thing we said at the start? Go in prepared. I know every single bit of this criteria. I meet this. Why? Recognize, because I do this, I can do that, I can do this. Additional criteria, preferable skills, I've got them too. Be prepared. The more knowledgeable you have about that role, the better. Research the interview questions. They can be the difference. Ask the interviewer, why did you get in the industry? What's the favorite game you've played? What's the game you're most proud of working on? What's the best thing? What's the best feature you've ever worked on? Who are your heroes in the game industry? How much am I getting paid? Say that one at the end. You have to have a bit in the money because that pays your bills. Utilities pay the utilities. Skills pay the bills. You have to, but put that in at the end. Also shows a bit of frankness. Rehearse your answers. You could literally Google interview questions. Rehearse your answers. They may come. Because they'll ask you as well. Have questions prepared. Don't do this when they ask you, what is your biggest weakness? I'm too awesome. They will yeet you out of the door. They won't. They'll be like, thank you for your time. Be honest. Oh, sometimes I get focused on a problem a bit too much. I spend too much time on it. Just little things like this. Be ready for it. Be humble. Especially when you're coming into a game, to a games industry. First job. You're not going to come in perfect. So, all right, some might be. Just be honest. Because then they know how to identify. The reason you're through that door, the reason you're in that interview is because they like what they see. You are in the industry. They like what they see. You're in there now. You've got the job. Brilliant. Which one? So you go in at QA, where I came from. So the work hours and conditions may vary between companies. I worked in some absolute bad places, overworked, underappreciated, underpaid. I worked at some great companies, felt heavily valued. There's also development opportunities. The pro is you can see the products at the end of the pipeline. So when everything comes together, all the code and the art, when they submit it to the build, you know the game inside and out. Some programmers are like, I don't even know if this game is fun. Yeah, it is. There's a build. This is how you run the build. All right, cool. I mean, we just submit change lists to a test level. So that's how some people work because they're so heavily focused. Junior developer. You could be a designer, animation, code, even like social media. So you learn from more experienced members of the team if you're the junior. They are senseis. You're not a Ronin. They are senseis. You learn everything. Ask questions. There's this person who's doing really, really well. Exactly. Doing really, really well. And they asked so many questions to me. So many questions in a short space of time. I thought I was drowning in questions. Now she's incredible. Like my right hand. Like I can trust them and say, cool, you already know what you're doing. It's like I've imported my knowledge to this person, probably with more patience. And that's how you hand back. This is how you're supposed to look after people in the industry. Let them ask questions, encourage questions. If they're stressing you out, go for a walk. Oh, hey. Go for a walk, for example. Relax. Use their techniques. The workload and pressures can vary between companies. We've got loads of juniors in here. Nice one. We've got an army of people with lower pay than a senior. Get at it. Some people will lean on this. They'll try and get more bang for their buck. Overwork people, burn them out. And then the industry may lose the next great person, the next great developer, the next great visionary, all because one company treated them bad. Know your worth. Indie, if you're an absolute super genius and you come out and you have a wonderful project and you do it by yourself in a small group, you can make whatever you like. You can make whatever you like. You're the boss. A boss is. You are the board of directors. You are the CEO. You're the everything. You're the United States of yourself and your visions. You have bills to pay. The longer you have bills to pay, you do have bills to pay. Real world, right? If you can do it in your spare time, work a crap job and fund it into there. Do it. Some of the best games have been made by people who have, they've given it a good shot. Super Meat Boy. Anyone seen anything about the development cycle of Super Meat Boy? Look at it. I want to see more hands. Honestly, it's incredible because when they get there in the end, and you know they get there in the end, it's wonderful. One guy's like, his partner's so proud. She's seen how much he's gone through this stuff. And it's like a team effort when they're on the phone and it hits the rocks. It's wonderful to see it. It's inspiring. I go, I'm going to make an indie game myself. And I realise I'm not that good at development and that side of things. And also, by the time I get in from work or the gym, I'm like, I just want the off switch for a bit. So, I think they're your 4 options, really. Junior developer, QA, indie. Or you could go in as this, anything else. And I'm thinking more development. The industry's much more broader now as well, especially when it comes to social media, even esports. You want to be the next superstar. So aim, plan, work, compile, achieve. Failing to plan is planning to fail. If you're prepared, who's the greatest superhero without any powers? It's Batman. He's prepared. Oh, it's Tony Stark, whichever, But, I prefer Batfleck. If you're prepared, no one can take anything from you. And if they don't hire you based on that, then they don't like you and they didn't deserve you in the first place. Questions?
See some hands, people.
Thank you for being patient.
You probably want to preface questions that aren't about the case itself. So a hand of it. Was that what you were going to ask? I mean, you could try it, but...
Carl, did you say it was someone's birthday, by the way?
I was told as we came in it was someone's birthday, yeah.
Whose birthday is it? I'm not singing. I'm not going to sing. Just got a little something for you.
So you said that your speciality was AI, and you said that you wanted to see AI learn and progress through games. Have you, I don't know if you can say because of your NDA, but have you been in a game where they've used stuff like evolutionary machine learning or reinforcement like PPO and stuff like that? And if so, which one would you prefer to see in games?
Not on my side anyway. I'm loud anyway. Right, yeah. Nothing really on my side has really inspired me on the AI. So I thought there was potential in Cyberpunk, where different play styles, being stealthy, going in guns blazing, always guns blazing for me. But I've never really seen it, where skill atoms, for example, how the player comes at a certain thing. I want certain, say like factions. They see the power player comes about a mission, and then you see that faction later on, and they've heard of your lore and how you come up about something. So they add more like tripwires and stuff like that. It's that kind of learning in terms of the behavior. Or say you're in the same building and they notice how you're playing, and then the surviving members change their approach. I haven't really seen that. And I think that's what I think is going to be crucial to basically testing the player or overthrowing humanity forever. on that front. So yeah, unfortunately not on that front.
Got it.
Good
So
question.
which basis would you prefer though? Like if you had to, so would you prefer they're given an action and if they succeed in that action, they get rewarded, or if they don't, they're punished? Or would you rather have it where there's AI which acts sporadically and randomly, and then when one gets it right, it will lead on, evolve, mutate, and just
I think
keep
there's
going?
room for both. Because if you think about AI, think about playstyles, reaction to the player. Some may be respondent to what the player does. Some may be so open to their own behaviours or the setup of the level, for example, where I think there's room for both, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Difficult to have in an engine, but there's games where it's always about the player. Everything revolves around the player, gravitates around the player. When the player's not looking, the NPCs are basically stood there usually. So, yeah. Can you pass a pair of AirPods? Good question.
You are discussing dialogue and how you shouldn't have dialogue endlessly repeat. Are there
Sorry, speak up, sorry.
You are discussing dialogue with NPCs and how it reacts to the player. Is there any circumstance where you would tolerate having dialogue that loops after a period of time?
It depends on when it comes to loop. I think there's definitely a range where you shouldn't do it consistently, where you're going to get 100 different responses. I think there's a sweet spot because you could focus on one small area of your game, and then you have to increase that detail consistently across it to do that. So really, it's based on what you want to achieve and the model you want to make, in my opinion.
All right. Right. First, I was gonna ask what else is in the case, but
Good question. He's asked the first question about the case. Right. We need a bit of help. I need you to hold that.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
No, there we
go. My main question was on Watch Dogs and The Division because
there we go.
I'm
sorry.
Those were a couple of my most favorite games when I was younger. How
you
was
get two for asking a question about the case.
Thank
be afraid. Don't never be afraid to say when someone says no. Right.
I imagine. How was work? Were you really on the dev team and everything? In how involved were you, and how was it like?
Yeah, heavily. I sat with the developers for both on that side of things. So I was embedded. So for example, skills and weapons team, I was literally round the corner from literally 2 rows down from Andres Alonso Barco. He would just come to my desk, and we'd literally work with him all the time. There's obviously another studio in Malmo as well, but whatever we made in house, you'd see it reactive. Play test as well, all on the same dev floor. Some companies put QA in a box, and then don't speak to the developer, don't speak to the holy grail of developer. How are they going to know that works good? So it was all about feedback iteration. They could come to your desk after you've tested their stuff. This is what I'm seeing. Is this your intent for this? Yeah, cool. Why? What do you think? Well, it's a bit one-trick pony-esque because the player could do this, and this. Oh, I didn't think of that. Nice one. Can I go back for 15 minutes, tweak some values, say damage values or something, and come back and then test another change list? Yeah, cool. Just little things like that. More hands now they've seen the loot bag. There is absolutely
the more
loads.
stuff comes out the bag, the more hands go up. You've created a monster, Steve. I'm going to have to clean that up if you keep throwing things.
Even I forgot what's in the bag. There's bags within the bag. There's aprons. There's umbrellas. There's thermoses. Lanyards. Right. Who's got the mic? Go.
In your experience, what was it like going from education to actual work and then switching between companies?
I don't want to be an adult anymore, and I'm in my 30s. Yeah, it was a shock because 9 to 5, 40-hour weeks. Is that, well, how do I do? I'd usually like laundry and things like that, cooking, cleaning, maintenance, and then also working on your little passion projects, working on yourself, time for the gym, just stuff like that. It's difficult on that front, but the body learns. Yeah. Right. Can I start picking people now? For you there. Pink hoodie, yeah. I saw a lot of nodding. I saw a lot of nodding from you there during the talk. So.
Thank you.
It's not a Christmas party.
So my question is, at the moment I'm overhauling my portfolio, and what I want to do with it is create integrations for it. So if I create a model, that can get rendered on the website, or if I create a game, I can play that, the Unity game on the website. But my teachers have said they only like, when you apply for a job, people will spend, 5 seconds or, more viewing it. And my question is, would it be worth integrating those features into it? Or are developers just going to look at it and go, no, that's too complicated, and then just leave it?
I think first and foremost, just have a video, show real gameplay. If you can have a build to download, some might get curious. They may like a video and say, oh, is this what I think it is on that front? So I'd say that's probably an important thing for it. Show real. You think about how a game wants to be played, E3. All right, get a nice little demo, nice little demo reel, things like that. That was a really good question there. Oh, sorry. Pass me the mic. There you go. Hello. Where is it?
What advice would you give to someone who wanted to go indie and do indie development?
Indie development. It is tough. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. However, keep what you want to make in your heart. Work hard. Always do research. Always be open to feedback, because it's only you working on this game. You don't have peers for peer reviews and things like that. So it's difficult, and I think it's the first time I've actually been asked about indie development. But I would encourage anyone to do so. You're going to learn so much anyways, and there's so much online. There's a great community of game developers. There's also a community of, are we recording? Shitheads, never mind, online. But there's always going to be that side of things, which is always focus on the good. For example, you've got your classmates. They can always help you as well. So always iterate, always be open to feedback. Play things that are near your games. Play things that you do not like, and it'll open your mind. Another good reason for playing a bad game is, well, if this got shipped, I might, if they'll ship any old crap, I'm probably going to get published. So yeah, that's probably the best advice on that I could give you. I'm going to get shut of these. They're not real AirPods, by the way, the CIG ones. I've raided the loot cupboard. I'll do the mic duties. Right, I'm going to go blue hoodie at the back.
In your time in the industry, have you ever suffered from any sort of creative burnout? And if you have, what was some of the best way of getting around that for you?
Creative burnout, usually time off. Time off, change your environment. Even if it's not a vacation, doing something different. For me, I had a bit of I'd say a meltdown about 2 years ago, mental health-wise. Always look after your mental health, everyone. I took about 5 days off work. Should have taken more off. I just walked. There's a nice area near my house called the Reddish Vale. It's about 20 minutes. There's horses, there's ducks. I've befriended some horses, just walk about via ducks, rivers, nature. It'll help out. You can always walk through a problem. That's bit of my idea anyway on that side of things. It's difficult, and sometimes it's hard to get out of your own head, but you need to allow yourself that time. Right, I'm going to start just giving stuff out now, because I'm going to be at it forever. Can anyone help out? Right, that side of the kit. Right. that side of the case and onwards, just distribute. Gonna have some glamorous assistants. There we go. There you go.
For a second there, I thought it was all the hands up were glamorous assistants. They just could descend on the case.
Shut up.
Ooh. I feel like keeping it, but...
No, that's yours.
Actually, for health and safety, I am keeping it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Never mind then, you're not getting pitched anything. I can see Ian breathing a sigh of relief
for
at the
health
back.
and safety, I was like, keep it. There's bags.
Let's get some questions while we go.
Power bars. I'll distribute out some out as well.
How do you feel after a game you've worked on is negatively received by the public?
It sucks on that side of things, but people have opinions and they're supposed to. They pay £50 for this game. People work hard. They work very hard to get that money to provide that stuff on that front. So yeah, as much as it sucks, the customer is always right. Some people download the game and still talk crap online. So you can't really win, but feedback is feedback at the end of the day. You just got to get better. Focus on the good feedback. Constructive feedback. If people just say it's crap, then, well, what's crap about it? Oh, it's just crap. Oh, you just wanted attention online and a few likes, Mr. Controversial. Oh, woe is them. However, if they ever made a game, are they working on a game? They know how long it takes. Maybe they like JRPGs and they're criticising COD, or the other way around. So yeah, beautiful thing about the games industry, there's so many different people and there's so many different player styles and so many different games. Right. Can we start giving out? So, not many. I brought 4 of them. So yeah, well played. Yeah. Did it, Lanyard? Right, can you do me a favour? Can you take someone, pass them on that side of things? There we go.
Yeah.
Right, last time I was here, I brought figures, so someone else may already have figures, but if not, take some. That's the last of them on that front.
Yeah, so I have a question.
Right, who asked the question about the industry, about my feelings on the front? No. Yeah, sweet. And who am I talking to now? Oh, no, sorry. And then, well, there you go then. Sweet. Well, you're asking one now, so there we go. Health and safety, Steve. Health and safety. I shouldn't throw anything. Right, go.
I was going to ask, what type of applications or websites would you recommend to use if you're trying to reach out to people in the industry particularly?
LinkedIn, definitely LinkedIn. Yeah. Find them on Twitter on that side of things. The games industry is a small place, but I'd say LinkedIn. Some people you may not get through to. Go to events, Games Industry North, like mixers, things like that. You have to maybe have 2 pints and bring something to show. Yeah. If after 4 beers, they will tell you everything about game development.
Thank you.
And they won't shut up. And that's 5 pints. Right. You. Just take mine, go on.
So we're kind of at a point where AI is kind of evolving rapidly, and we can use AI kind of outside of games to make assets and voices that are indistinguishable from human voices even. Like, do you have any kind of opinion on how that impacts the industry? Or
I think there's definitely value for it. There's AI artists where they're just generating stuff and selling it as pieces of art. I think it's really good for if you're doing indie development on that side of things. So even like placeholder stuff, yeah, you can take a CitizenCon badge. They're one of a kind. Nice one. I've got more hands now. But the thing about AI art is it's going to saturate the market if you're not careful, where hard-working artists are going to be put out of work. So I think there's a balance for it. When it comes to like detail or anything bespoke, then that should be more for an artist side of things. If it's just background foliage or whatever, then maybe not, because you're taking someone's livelihoods. Right, I'm going to go up in here in this corner here, so sorry about that, guys. I'm going to go with yourself. I'm going to get some loot for these 2 corners. I've forgotten you all. That's from CitizenCon. Yeah. One of a kind.
These are really hard to get out.
Oh, lucky mate. I'll keep it.
Cheers. So my question is, when you when you finished your education and you were looking to get in a job, right? Approximately how many places did you apply to, and how long did it take for you to actually get to the interview phase?
It took me, I think it was 5 rejections and at least 20 applications. I iterated every time. The first job I got was a job I applied to 4 times. Maybe there's something wrong with my approach, my CV, things like that. So, yeah, that was kind of how long it took me. We're from the borough of Grimsby, and the coat of arms, underneath it says, courageous but undaunted. Be brave, keep going, undaunted. No is an answer you don't always have to take all the time, but you can come back, you can keep coming back. If you fall down 10 times, get up 11, sorry. Get up 10, you'll be flat out by then. That's it. Right, you've got the
Did manage to get the other microphone back.
I did indeed. I'm just going to go to this side as well, because a lot of people haven't been able to ask me any questions from here, and there's a lot.
You wouldn't think we have backgrounds in production, would you?
In the industry, how does planning work out for you, though? Because currently, during my assignments, the hardest thing is planning. Every week, I'm revising my Gantt chart. Is it more of a unified approach where different departments, different people get together and you use a unified plan, or is it more of made on an individual basis? Like maybe you'll have your own Google Doc spreadsheet with the planning in.
I would look a lot younger and handsomer if Gantt charts were a thing in my life, but they are they're part of you planning. They're very vital to what the roadmap looks like. I'm shuddering just thinking about roadmap. But it's always going to change. Always use it. Estimates, sometimes safety estimates and things like that. It's going to help you visualize the things you want to implement on that side of things. We use Jira structure. So it's a Gantt chart like Microsoft Project, but it's a Jira plugin. So we create our tasks for the developers and things like that. And from there, we can link everything together. We see the time frames, as well as priority and complexity, things like that. So yeah, quite important on that front.
Because I was also wondering, when it does come to Gantt charts, is it how into detail is it planned? Is it planned almost on a daily basis, on a weekly basis?
We do it on a granular level, project wide, and then we'll operate in sprints, for example, and I said quarterly as well. So 1 quarter is roughly about 6 to 7 sprints, depending on the length of the months in there. And those sprints are 2 weeks worth. So depending on the size of your team and what you want to achieve for that time, you basically, what do I want to achieve? Cool, that'd be like an epic link. You'd create these small levels of those tasks. So down to so say if you're doing a scene. I'm going to take a pin as well, that's a really good question. Say you were doing a scene, you want to create a new scene, you're going to need dialogue. Let's take a pin. They're hard to get out, apparently. You're going to need motion capture. You're going to need dialogue, audio, character faces, character bodies. What are they wearing? Cool, you don't want naked characters in the game either. What are they saying? Do they make any noise? Do they, in terms of foliage, they move? So you'd build out all those as like an itemized bill. Like if you were cooking your ingredients. And then we build them, we put them all in tasks, link them together as dependency order, because you can't really implement it into game until you've shot it. You can't, and in between that you shoot it, it needs to be processed before it can be given to this team. You would create all of those tasks, estimates on them, from the very start of an idea to the finish. Even down to assets I want to implement for my design level. Cool. In that case, then I can still work with a cube or a brick. And then at this point, this is where the real assets come in. Cool. Iterate more tasks for this stuff, more estimates. And then basically an itemized bill step by step of how you get it in game, and then add estimates to it. Cool. Right. I'm going to start distributing further in midway as well, because I know there's a lot of people who missed out. Sorry. Yeah.
So do you want me to pick someone, or?
Yeah, because I'm. Yeah.
Okay.
Whoever hasn't asked a question.
I'm picking someone I can reach.
How would you effectively manage and motivate a team, especially when you've started a big project and everything is just like, you need to do everything?
Alcohol. I'm kidding. It's not. No. It's team bonding. Team bonding exercises. You don't need a drink on that side of things. It's a case of camaraderie, getting people together, get them talking. When they're outside of work, don't talk about work. Talk about games. Talk about what you've been playing. Lead from the front. There's going to be bad days. Sometimes people are a little off, and it's not your fault. Ask them what's wrong. Just little things like that. Inspire a bit of confidence. Lead from the front. So they're little things that I would say are going to be massively beneficial in terms of the teamwork, is looking after each other. So, yeah.
Thanks.
But yeah, definitely meals together, things like that. So much beneficial. Just getting people loose outside the work environment. Right, I'm going to put this under my armpit and then carry on.
So you do AI, and what do you think would be better if the...
Sorry, who am I talking to? My bad, I'm not being rude there. You again. No.
Not again.
No, start.
So you do AI, and what do you think would be better if we were to model bot players after real players, or if we were to use a neural network of some sort to have the bot decide for itself?
Neural net, calm down, Elon. No, on that side of things. The thing is, you can mimic players, and it's really good for like player testing and things like that as well. So how many players can this server take? You can simulate those players as well. When it comes to performance as well in a build on that front. I mean, I'd avoid neural nets on that side of things because of the complexities and the cost it'd take, unless you've got a God mode programmer on that front. But the beautiful thing about the games industry is you can always iterate. You can always try it. And if it doesn't work, then you can move back to square one on that front. I'll just have some stuff. There we go. Sweet. Stuffs. I'm going to go to you, and then you in the hoodie. You've been very patient as well.
What do you enjoy most about working in this industry?
Not stickers. On that front, I'd probably say a lot of the time, days are different. It's not the same crap every day. It's quite challenging. You can get really, really bogged down, and then you see it all together. You see people's reaction to your work. You see it all in a feature piece. You see the character artists seeing their work in game. The people who I helped do a mocap shoot and oversee it for. It was like a funeral scene in the game, and I saw it from me chasing it to asking the narrative people, right, how does a funeral transpire in the future under the folklore of this company? Cool, and the AR kind of things. So for me, it's seeing it all together, all encompassing. Stop fighting over stickers. There you go. Right. So yeah, it's the finished product at the end of the day, or just small little increments. And also, games industry has the best people ever, unless you work for yeah, I'm not going to say.
Probably shouldn't say. Who is over here then? Who are we looking for over here?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Anyone who hasn't asked a question, keep your hands up.
Indefinitely.
Yeah, if you've already asked a question, put your hand down for now, and then we'll get round. I'm trying to spread myself as openly as possible.
So,
how
many hours did you work per week?
For Card Imperium or just starting out?
Starting out.
Starting out, originally it was 60 hours overtime, things like that. I was killing myself on that side of things. It was nice to do it small amounts to get noticed, and sometimes they depend on people putting extra time in because the project's poorly scheduled. But a decent company won't have constant crunch. Sometimes it's nice to work a little bit overtime if you're offered overtime pay. Else, work your contracted amount of hours. Life is for living. You work so you can live a life. You don't live a life so you can work. Unless you're doing indie games, in which case you're on your own clock on that front. But yeah, take some time to rest and don't work yourself into the ground. You at the back? On then. I see a lot of nodding from you. Hands up who hasn't got any loot, by the way. Who hasn't got any loot? Right, sweet. Distribute. You didn't get one, did you? Oh, all right. As an apology, AirPods, and you didn't get a token as well. Yeah, grab one of them. There you go, sweet. Right, you.
From all the projects you've worked on so far, which one do you feel like is the most enjoyable that you've worked on?
For me, it's Squadron 42, obviously on that side of things. But I really, really did enjoy parts of the Division. Like, sat there in cover, I'm getting absolutely bogged down by NPCs, drop a Seeker mine, and because I've leveled it up, it scatters out and goes away, destroys them, things like that, on that front. So I'd probably say that those side of things, because playing that, I went away, didn't see the project out for the last 6 months, getting the box product and going, good old Seeker mine, things like that. And obviously Squadron 42, playing through, seeing the, basically seeing a lot of the sequences that have been shot from the mocap side of things to seeing it in game, all the way you've chased for like artists and things like that as well. It's something that's quite beneficial to me, seeing it as a feature piece. I'm not going to throw that, but yeah, pass it on. That's the last AirPods. Anyone hands up for AirPods, by the way. So yeah, always be proud of your work. I love Lego City as well. Lego City was great on that front. Right, just hands down a minute. Who hasn't got any loot? Hands big. Sweet. I'm going to need help distributing again if possible. Everything's got to go. Yeah, dude. Yeah, just get it out now at this point. Sweet. Who was asking a question next? Oh, we haven't got one. Go you. You remind me of Sean Wallace from Gangs of London, mate. I like the swag.
Oh. Thank you. So you're working in cutscenes and animations and stuff like that in Cloud Imperium right now. Is that always the chosen discipline in the industry you've wanted to do, and how and when did you know that's the path you wanted to take?
I wanted to be the next Hideo Kojima to start with. And then I kind of realized what I enjoyed about playing games. I went home, my escapism. Right, I'm going to lose a bet with Kyle here, but I'm going to have to mention Mass Effect 2. It's a game I absolutely adore, and it was the absolute escapism for me that was kind of required when life sucks. Nice one, put on a video game. It's like a warm embrace almost on that front, and that emotioneering video games was the best part about me playing it, and then having an effect on the environment, and also the NPCs blowing smoke up your ass. It's like, you're the hero of this. Oh, you can't believe you did that. It's like, yeah, I guess, but you're programmed to say that. But I'm going to take it at face value. But yeah. That, to me, it's the narrative play. It's like a film you have an effect in almost.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right, going to do loot hands again. All right, go on then. Do me a favour and pass that once. Someone behind. Fellow in grey. Right, can you take one and then pass it to the red hoodie behind you, and then you can have the box. Right, last bit salute. I've got like pens left now at this point and sanitizer, so I apologise, but only so much I could carry. Sorry, I'm going to have to use my clown feet to get past here. Right, right. You could take that one because you're helping, and then pass the other two down. Oh, I just need cannons to distribute merch at this point. Whew. Right. Anyone who hasn't asked a question, I'm going to get you at the back there. Far back? Yeah, green hood, yeah. In front of the birthday boy, you, yeah. Right, I need to get a microphone, don't I? What am I on about? Right.
Where's it going?
So I'll do it. Get my steps in, it's all good.
Yeah, and then you need this one.
Thank you. Have you ever felt like you wanted to do a role change within your company, or was there something else you want to do other than AI?
Change within my company?
Like your job role.
Yeah. I mean, I did want to come in as a designer, and I also looked at like social media interaction. But the more you expose yourself to the internet, the more you go down a rabbit hole almost, and you can expose yourself to a lot of negativity as well. And on face value, you think, oh, this is easy, this. But then also you look back and go, actually, it takes a lot. And I don't think I'd be as an effective person doing that as what I do now on that front, protecting the developer, communicating highly, making sure things are on schedule, and also, most important thing is looking after my team, people I'm responsible for.
Okay.
Sweet. Right, who's on the stairs? I want to give loot to people sat on the steps. No students? Oh, sweet. There's some stickers and you can take a badge.
Obviously, one quick reminder for you guys, if you have received free stuff from our esteemed guests, do make sure you are tweeting, Instagramming, hashtagging it IW23. If you have not received free stuff, take a photo of your classmate wearing a Hawaiian shirt and being otherwise prepped for a barbecue. Hashtag IW23.
This guy really doesn't want loot. I felt bad for people sat on the stairs as well. Like, I've oversold it. Right, more questions. Right. Who was last one?
I wanted to ask: have you worked on any esports or titles that involve esports, or with a company that has an esports scene? And what is the development like, including the esports segment of the game?
I'm really sorry, but no.
So I was wondering if you worked in any companies that had an esports side to the company.
I haven't. The only thing I saw from it was Rainbow Six Siege when I was working on the Division, and obviously I didn't work on that game, but we saw that booth that was there on that front. So unfortunately not. I'd say I'm more like the narrative-orientated single-player kind of stuff.
Yeah, and one more thing. In terms of AIs in gaming, what would be the best AI that you've seen in a video game so far?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, take a badge. Honestly, I'd say when it comes to AI, I've not really seen it. Kyle, can you help them out? No, because Alex had to give it off. Yeah. Sweet, there we go. I actually really like some of the NPCs on Cyberpunk, especially the Aldecados and how they fought on that side of things. But again, you go, this is good, this, and they'll do something absolutely stupid, and you go, oh, the Hollywood shine's gone off. You have a peek behind the curtain. So I think all of it's at the same kind of level. You can see that the scripts on that side of things rather than it being more authentic behaviour on that front. Right, I've got a thermos left and 2 badges. Who's not asked a question or had any loot? I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with you and pass you the mic because I keep forgetting I have a microphone.
So I've got a couple questions. First one, what do you think it was for you that got you from QA to where you are now as a producer?
I think a couple of things more than anything. Oh, there's a bit of extra time, thank you, Kyle. I did put in a bit of extra time where I could do, but that didn't actually get me out there as much as the quality of the work I was doing, socialising with the developers, talking to them about their work. Go and make a brew in the kitchen, say hey to somebody. When you're talking about work, make sure it counts. What makes you tick? Talk about you have similar passions, things like that. And also, don't just talk about work. Talk outside of work. What things you enjoy, what games you play, what films you enjoy, what comics you read. Like I literally sick of lending out comics, right, and not knowing who's got what. Like my volume 1 of The Invisibles is somewhere, and I still can't find it. Or Neil Gaiman's Sandman, like Preludes and Nocturnes, first edition, and I don't know where it is. Yeah.
And also, how much of character animation nowadays would you say is done through mocap, or would it depend on project to project?
I think it's 50-50 in parts, because mocap, you're more emotioneering and stuff and things like that. However, there's stuff where you can hand key it. I think a lot of it hand keying stuff is either final polish or when you're iterating to start out. So there's no point in spending money on a mocap shoot until you know what it is. So you want this giant mech on that side of things and say, right, cool, instead of building this rig for someone to walk around in a giant mech, let's see how it goes from there and say, right, now we've got what we need, just getting it in quick and dirty. Yeah, literally people use the term quick and dirty in the industry. So just get it in, loose, rough as out, and then from there, people sit back and they imagine what it's going to look like, how it's going to be, stuff like that. Cool. They give a thermos, I didn't know here. Sweet.
Thank you.
Last two. Well, you've got a fan on the end, so I'm going to go there. Did you get loot as well? No, well, there you go. You two, split them because look after your friend. Right, there's two mics here. There you go.
When it comes to QA testing, what is usually the starting point for that?
In terms of like getting a career in QA testing, or
you through the process, like, do you start by playing through a game for like bug testing? Do you just play through the game and see what seems out of the ordinary, or do you go in knowing there's a certain mechanic or part that you want to test?
I think the answer there is yes. So to both on that side of things. So it might be a case of we've just put this new part in, this new combat behavior for these NPCs. Brilliant, nice one. Only look at the NPCs and focus on them. Some may be smoke tests, test the entire game. Just make sure each level boots and you can play from A to B. Don't try and interact with anything. I just want to see the transitions. It might be before these scenes or these elements of the game have loads of NPCs in them. Can you just keep your eye on the performance? If you have a really good test lead, they'll give you your prime directive, what you need to be focusing on, I'd say, on that side of things. It all comes back to the test plan. The test plan will tell you exactly what you need to be focused on. The developer will also say, I really need them to look at this. I'm not sure if this is fulfilling enough. Or, I found this issue in this play test. Can anyone find it? Always be that person to find that obscure bug. Because when you reproduce it for a developer who found it in a build, they know your name now. They may vouch for you. See them in the kitchen. Hey Jessica, how's it going? Yeah, found that bug for you. Cool. How was your weekend? Just little things like that.
Okay, so the case is empty.
The case is empty. The
Your
case
hands
closed.
are empty. We practiced doing something earlier that hopefully you guys will be able to do a really good job of now. I would like you guys to thank Steve for being here and seeing you guys and bringing you all this stuff.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone. Can I just say, that is really warm. My back is mostly sweat. I'm glad I wore a shirt. I feel like I'm stood in front of a fireplace.
Well, I checked your slides and I made sure we cut out before the last one. So
sweet. Yeah, can I just say, you have a wonderful facility here and a wonderful course, and this is the reason why I come back every year. Like, I wish I was on this course like years ago when we started out. So I've seen Confetti grow from strength to strength. I've said the past like 6 or 7 years now.
This will be your 4th different venue we've spoken in.
That's true, yeah. And I think it's like my 6th time doing it. So, I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. And what this says is they're not just getting people in to get the funding in to run a games course. They're investing in you. They want you to do well. And then hopefully you can come back and do a talk like me and bore the crap out of students. Other than that, bring a nice case of loot of everyone. If I can say one thing, or several things, is be nice, be cool to each other, give feedback. Everyone has a bad day. Not everyone's a bad person. You can always work on yourself and cut yourself some slack these days. Don't be hard on yourself. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. So yeah, thank you all, honestly.